Okay, so it's June 9th of 2025 at 9:06 a.m. in the morning. I am going to see if I can call Mr. Bruce Ralston, who is an MLA in the province of British Columbia, Canada. He's a member of legislative assemblies, who is an acting minister, I think, to the government, because the NDP, New Democratic Party in the province of British Columbia, Canada, is holding power, to which Mr. Ralston has been a politician for as long as I've been working on the nonprofit, which is like 25 years plus. And I've met with him with Uncle John in the past, and you know, we've talked about the universal school meal program and yada. I even went to go see him when I first discovered that Shimei had been illegally harvested with her organs, and he wanted me to gather up all her medical files, anything and everything, as fast as I could and drop it off at his office, because he said if I didn't do that, those files would have gotten buried over tens of thousands of other files accumulating within the healthcare system, and it would have been hard to locate them either, or get them in, if that's the way I felt, and he'd look at them. But of course, you know, it takes time to put those kind of things together, people. Instead, I went with the route with the lawsuit with the government to bring attention to it. Okay, so either or. I have a history with this man. That's what I'm trying to say. He'll remember me, okay? So I'm going to call his constituency office that so far is registered here on one of his letterheads. And I'm going to see if I can make an appointment with him, a brief one at that, to discuss my fears, people, of living in the city of Surrey in the province of British Columbia, Canada, in light of what my family is going through as this property is being targeted for various reasons, with different groups that have different agendas, where each and every group is getting a kickback, a financial kickback, a bonus of some kind, a pat on the back. I mean, it could be as simple as acknowledging that they did something for somebody else, to hope that maybe one day that somebody else will do something for them. You know what I mean? Not everything has to be money, right? Okay, so let's just see. Let's see if we get an answer on this, because I feel like I have to, I don't know, people. I'm so tired and so weak. All I can think about right now is morning glory, and how I should go outside and pull morning glory today. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Let me focus on this. Andre's got a little job with his uncle tomorrow. It's so important that he goes, right? Because, you know, we're trying to teach Andre how to grow up to be a responsible young man and a hard worker. Okay, hold on a minute. This may be an old letterhead. It could be too early in the morning, too. Maybe they don't get into the office until 10. But I'm pretty sure he's a minister now. I don't remember what ministry.
For calling the Surrey City Centre constituency office for MLA Shaw. We are currently unavailable to take your call.
M. Shaw?
Please leave your name, postal code, phone number.
M. Shaw? Who the heck is M. Shaw? Okay, that didn't work. So, yeah, so Andre is going to go, and he's been getting a lot of free time. He's been going on bike rides on electric bicycles that Brad, his mentor, who also puts him to work, right, to mow grass and all that crap, has taken Andre, you know, out and about, for new experiences. And I've discussed it with Andre, Marquand, Reno, okay, everybody. So Andre enjoys the long bike rides. He enjoys using the electric motorbike. It's exposing him to new experiences. He gets to be out more in nature, and he's getting exercise. All right. And then, of course, he's got his little part-time job that, you know, he goes and he either weed whacks at Brad's house, or he drives that electric lawnmower, or whatever. Brad exposes him to new tools, like a different kind of drill that does a different kind of thing that compared to your standard drill, right? You know, weed blowers, pressure washers, things that my son doesn't show Andre. So Andre's learning. That's why people, when Andre was using that old weed whacker that I have that started smoking, and like none of us really know anything about weed whackers, honestly, we don't. And, you know, anyway, the thing was smoking outside. It was smoking the day before, and he goes, well, what should I do now? And I said, well, I don't know. Like, see what happens. Let it, you know, try it again tomorrow, and just, if it starts smoking, turn it, like, release the power, and then unplug it, and maybe we should be not using it, right? Because if it continues to keep smoking, then that's a problem, right? Anyway, so he did. He tried it yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? The day before, I don't know. So stressed out, people. And yeah, the thing caught on fire, and it wouldn't go out. But because he's seen me deal with, you know, a few little fires that happen on the stove, because maybe he got butter, because, you know, he's sloppy cook, right? So there'd be butter at the bottom of the, or, you know, butter at the bottom of the, you know, the element in the tray that the element sits, right? So, you know, and I tell him, like, don't you ever throw water on it, because it's oil. Oil will fly and spit, and the fire will go with it, and that's how it ends up spreading, right? Versus you either cover it with something, you know, a pot lid or whatever, and then salt. So I have salt very handy here, right? And I showed him how to do it. Either or. So he knows, because I've walked him through it, and we've actually done it together, right? And I explained to him why, you know, you can't be getting all this food particles into the burner, yada yada, blah 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 blah, or anything can happen, right? So when that thing started on fire, the first thing he did, because he knew it wasn't a stove, but yeah, he took the water hose to it, because he got scared, right? Because it just started flaming and it kept burning, right? And so he took the water hose to it, and it, of course, it didn't go out, right? And then he remembered, salt, and then he equated it to sand. So he gathered up sand, and he covered it all up enough. He had to do it a couple of times in order to completely put out the fire, right? Because he said when he first started, it wouldn't go out. And I said, well, of course not. You need to really douse it so to smother it so that the fire can't breathe the oxygen, right? So you have to put a fair amount. You've seen me do that on the stove, right? So he did that as fast as he could by reflex, by you know, like, and he was responsible. He didn't leave the weed whacker on the grass, because he said it. I said, why? Because he said he took it to the road and put it along on the curb. And I said, well, why did you do that? Like, why did you run with it, right? Oh, well, because I didn't want to put it on the grass. I said, why? It just would have just, he said, because the grass was dry, and he didn't want the grass to catch on fire and start spreading out. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you did the right thing then, right? And because he took it to the road, I guess that's where there was enough gravel and sand and grit and whatever to scoop up and cover this thing up. All right, so what was the point of that? So, okay, so the point is that he's been mowing for 2 days outside, minus yesterday. I don't think he was outside yesterday. I did a little bit of morning glory pulling, right? You know, he's been doing yard work at Brad's, a couple of hours here and a couple of hours there. He's been doing long bike rides, which he's not used to, but he really enjoys doing it, and he's learning a lot, and he's done that like 2 times or something already. Plus, he went for a walk with Uncle Marcaine all the way to the mall and all the way back. Right? Then he cooked sushi, double batch. He did a really good job, right? Marina was monitoring him and showing him how to do it, and he made a lot. And of course, I supplied everything, right? It was like a $80 meal for me, but that's okay. I don't mind. Everybody got crab and ham, and they had hamburgers, so they made hamburger sushi. We had ham sushi, we had crab sushi, Oh, it was good. It was great. It lasted 2 days, exactly what I wanted. And so, he's been really busy and, he under the sun for 2 days mowing and he burns, eh? So tomorrow he's going to go and of course I'm by myself with Amari, pretty much confined to one area. It's not like I can run around and do things, right? And, so I'm either sleeping or just picking around, trying to get into my sewing room and make room in there so I can start doing something in there. I don't know what it is I want to do. I just know I want to start using it and letting Andre just start using it. Plus, we're going to be selling stuff, so, we need to measure out fabric so that we know how many meters or whatever it is as we list it, right? We'll try that. We'll see what happens with it. So yeah, like, Mrs. Gill shows up on Sunday and tells me we have till Wednesday, where those black bags are already gone. That's what Andre told Mrs. Gill yesterday, because she showed me a picture with 5 bags, not even 5 bags. It was like 4 black garbage bags, just kind of like right there, before you go in the garage, off to the, right to whatever. And like Marcaine collects his water bottles and pop bottles and, pop cans and that stuff, and he puts them in big bags, and then at some point he'll go and we've got juice containers up here, and maybe one of them was that, and I could honestly see them being that kind of stuff to go to the recycle depot, right? Because they were getting them ready, and they just put them there on the outskirts, okay? And the city that was enough for the city to take a picture and say that we're fucking piling up garbage again, which is bullshit, people, like. And then whatever my son did, I told him, like, don't take down the compost, but he did it anyway. And now all he's created is a venue for those blackberry bushes, morning glory, buttercup, freaking clover. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just out of control. And it will stay like that right up until fall, right? You know what I'm saying? As fast as you cut it back, it will grow. But I guess my son, and not only that, but you'll have a huge mound where it won't be enough to fit into the recycle bin. You see, that's the thing. That's why I built the compost boxes, people, because I was buying those recyclable yard waste paper bags in multiples, okay, when I first moved in. As I was trimming back this shit, pulling, whatever, stuffing, these bags were lining up out in front, one after another. And it was like that week after week, month after month. It was disgusting, all right? And I can see that already it's starting to happen again, because it hasn't even been a year, and this shit is already getting out of control. So when you cut it back, what I'm trying to say is you're going to have a whole lot of roughage where it's not going to fit into the recycle bin, the city recycle bin. No. So you're going to go buy bags and spend more money, and for what? So I made compost boxes and made dirt as I was going through my travels. And with my compost boxes being either taken over and not being allowed to use anymore, basically, or dismantled, right? The weeds are coming back 10 times fold. I don't know what my son plans on doing with it after he cuts it back, because I sure in hell can't cut it back. I'm not strong enough, people. I don't have the energy anymore, which is why I'm doing this video, because I'm going to have to find some time to go out and pull out some morning glory, because ain't nobody doing it. I knew that was going to happen. And it was already here before my son, my landlord in the city of Surrey, opened it up to make them become an infestation. Like, I'm afraid to live in this city, people, because it's too green. Too much morning glory. Grass isn't short enough, right? Because if I don't get a handle on it, somehow, some way, as everybody's screaming at me saying it's my fault, because I don't know why, but it is, and I'm expected to fix it with nothing in terms of equipment. I have to pay for the bags. I have to buy a new weed whacker. I might have to buy a new lawnmower because my landlady doesn't feel like she should have to pay for it because of what? She got another complaint from the city with 4 pictures. Well, those garbage bags that were out there, whenever, I don't know when they were out there. I don't know when the picture was taken. All I know is that they're not there anymore. All I know is Andre told Mrs. Gill yesterday that they've already been removed, which tells me they probably went to the bottle recycle depot, and that's why they're gone. And whatever wood that was out there was on the inside of the property, with just a little bit sticking out of fence that nobody wants to fix. But yet, as the fence continues to fall apart, the wood is piling up, and then it's another excuse for the city to say that we're hoarding rotten fucking wood and that we're going to get fined for it because we're not doing anything with it. When I wanted that fence standing with that vinyl siding around it in place that would have held that fence in place for another 10 more freaking years at no cost to my landlord other than her son coming for a day, maybe 2, to do the vinyl with me. And if need be, we could have cemented in another post here, another post there. I would have ran the boards. I would have put the chicken wire around it, and we would have lined it with freaking 2x4s, top at the seam, top at the bottom. And then to make it look nice, we could have put up the freaking vinyl siding and guaranteed that thing would never have fell down. And it would be easy to wash and clean. But no, nobody wanted to help me. Instead, they wanted to set me up so they could rob me of each and almost every fucking thing, boo-boo thing in this yard, and then expect me to get out there and do something. Because if I don't do it, doesn't matter what it is, what it isn't, doesn't matter. I'm getting evicted. And for what? And I'm supposed to be feeling safe? Okay. So, Andre's going to do his first day with Uncle Marcaine. Coming up. I've been telling Andre to save energy for that because that's very important. We don't want Uncle Marcaine to get discouraged when he's willing to take you on a job site so that you can start learning how to tie a certain kind of knot or whatever. Being that he works with ropes and trees and stuff, there's certain knots that you learn, right? So maybe Andre might learn a new knot and what it's used for, right? And learn how to do it. So that's just another thing that he knows when I'm not around anymore. And he's on a job and he needs to do something correctly. He'll know how to do it. So I told him, you can't bail because he's, I'm achy, I'm sore, I'm sunburned. And I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. You gotta go. So today I told him he can rest. Right? Because, when he's gone, I get behind in everything, but besides that point, because it's not like I can be running around back because Amari's always moving and shit, right? So I think today, what I'm trying to say is, I think today, I'm going to see, it would be nice if I can bring Amari outside even for a couple of hours. Andre can keep an eye on him for me. And I'll go with my blind self, because that's basically what it's about here. Look at something, know that it's green, but not see the color green, because it doesn't look like that for me. It's more like a shadowy green that all blends together, right? And I'll be lucky if I see the outline of a leaf so that my brain tells me, oh, I remember what that is. That's a morning glory. Or maybe that's a Norway maple, but we don't have Norway maple anymore because they cut down the tree. Okay, so besides that point, and just feel for morning glory. I want to work in the front. As it's booming out there, you can hear it, maybe, but it's booming out there. Because they're digging a hole now. They're doing something over there. I don't want to go look because it's depressing. Right? Just inviting more gang stalkers to your house as they're accusing you of something. Yeah. So I'm scared to live here, people. All right? And I think I should make an effort to at least try and go see people who I'm looking up right now. But when they're ministers, I don't know if you can go see them as a representative. MLA Surrey BC. And he'll say, well, do you have something in writing? As if I got energy for that. I'll be like, I'm working on it. Right? I just wanted to maybe meet with you to let you know what's going on, and you can give me or at least phone them, and then yeah, work on something to try and get a meeting over. He'll just refer me to a place called Options, which is a community hub for them to refer you to somebody else that might help you. Yeah. A lot of offloading. I can't even find him here. Let me see if I can find him. Hold on a minute. Okay. Let's try this one. This number is off the government website. Okay. They got him listed as a Abbotsford South? Oh, wait. That's somebody else. That's Bruce Banman. I don't know who he is. Hold on a minute. Okay, and don't forget, I struggle with my eyes too, you know. And anything and everything I do, it doesn't matter really what it is. It burns out my eyes. Okay, so I don't see his name listed here. Now, that could be because he's a minister, right? Like I said, he's a minister to an actual portfolio within the province with all its different ministries. So he's the leader of the pack to a certain particular ministry. I don't remember what it was, though. Okay, so we're going to call the MLA from Abbotsford West, just to see if I'm on the right path here. Okay, because, I don't know, people. Do I expect results from this? No. But if it gets real bad, if things get real bad, I don't know. Because you know gang stalking is real.
You've reached the office of Corky Neufeld, MLA for Abbotsford West. Is not available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone. Press the pound key to end recording.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything because I thought maybe if I held on long enough, they would say the office is closed right now. It will be opened at yada-da-ya-ya, right? Or versus that, I mean, I don't know what that was, but it wasn't very much. Like, it didn't give you no information. It didn't ask you to, to push another button to get more information as to maybe where their address is or whatever. Like, talk about downsizing. Huh. Okay. Siri. Hold on a minute. I'm going to try another Google. Okay. This is on Quest. There is a phone number there. It wants a 1 in front of it. I don't know why, but I'm not going to do the 1 first because I live in his district. So I'm going to call just the 1 number here. See. See what we get. Hello? It only rang once. Okay. It only rang once. So let's hang up. Do you think I'm dealing with AI here that wants to frustrate me? $604. Okay, let's try it again. I don't understand why they're not answering
Thank
their...
you for calling the Surrey City Center Constituency Office for MLA Amna Shah. We are currently unavailable to take your call. Please leave your name, postal code, phone number, and what you need help with. We will reach out to you shortly. Please note our office hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. during the week. We are closed for walk-ins on Wednesdays, and the office is closed on weekends. You can also reach us by email at amna.shah.mla@leg.bc.ca. If you have an urgent emergency, please call 911. For other urgent concerns, please call Service BC at 604-660-2421 and they will connect you with the appropriate government department, toll-free. If you are looking for information regarding community, government, and social services, dial 211 to speak with an information and referral specialist. BC 211 is available 24/7. Thank you.
Okay, I don't leave a message because it says it opens at 9:30. It is now 9:39, which is to say that I'm going to attempt to call back. Okay? Because they're either answering their phones or they're not. If the only way you can reach them is by leaving a message for them to call you back, well, I don't know. Now you can go to their office, but they said Emma Shank or something like that. That's a different MLA that must, because this is Bruce Ralston's constituency office. I'm assuming that he's moved. Or wait, I'm assuming that his office is still pretty much where it used to be, but I'm not too sure because I haven't been out very often, right? So I haven't been out in that area to know that, okay? It's been several years since I've been around his constituency office. Oh, he's the Minister of Social Development and Innovation, which would be welfare, basically. So that's what he's the minister of. Okay. Being forced out of your housing through gang stalking tactics and tenant harassment, I would think would fall under his roof. Okay. So, who's this Emma? She must be representing his constituency while he's working at the Parliament buildings. All right. So, Emma. Where's Emma? Oh, her last name started with an S. Let's see. She's not even listed here. Oh my Lord. I don't know, people. How do you get a hold of his office? Not going to make no difference, though. You heard them give the referral on the phone, and then they'll connect you to the right government agency. In my situation, they would try and send me to the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch to file a dispute against my landlords, not the city, because the city is empowered to do what it does. Despite all the incentives for the city to do what it does. Right? Because there's a lot of incentives for them to get this house empty. We're getting to the point where you can't have nothing in the yard. It's got to be completely empty, including what's in your garage and around it. And if you leave 4 or 5 bags of bagged up pop bottles that are in a black bag and it makes it look like it's garbage, that's it. You get a fine, or you get threats of a fine, and they'll find something else to complain about just so they can build a case against you, because there's incentives to free up this house. That's what I'm taking this to the MLAs with. I have to. Somebody, maybe Emma, I don't know who this Emma is. I'm sure they said Emma. So, Political representative, South Surrey, White Rock, Chambers. Let me try again. Hold on. Okay. This is about right. Member of Legislative Assembly, 10574 King George Boulevard. That's where I remember him to be, Mr. Ralston. But it keeps coming up with an Emma. What is this? Get directions. But no phone number. Oh, here's a phone number. Okay, that's the number. That's the primary number that I called. Right there. So we're going to try this one more time. Or should I wait? Should I wait for another hour? Wait till 10:30 maybe? See if they answer the phone then? I'll make sure I write down the number and the address. I have to get to an little eye clinic that's on King George, so I can maybe get some prescription glasses. So when I go and I do that, which hopefully will be soon because I really need them, I'll see if I can pop in there into this office if I haven't had a chance to speak to them beforehand. So we don't want to seem over pesty at this point, right? Being that I'm phoning but not leaving messages. So the next time I phone, hopefully they'll answer their phone. If not, I'll leave a message and I'll wait for a return call to see what I can do in terms of speaking with Mr. Ralston, like the quote-unquote good old days. And I'll tell him, since we're here discussing what I'm going through, however you want to label it, should we talk about maybe the universal school meal program? Because you did say that when you got elected into government and your party became the government, you'd really work hard and help me to get that going on a provincial scale in terms of, but he'll say, oh, but we already have one now. I'll be like, yeah, I remembered when you guys came in and you did that little bit of cash infusion, but did anyone ever step up to the plate to top it off? Or to lobby the federal government to really bring in a universal school meal program into the province of British Columbia, Canada, Mr. Ralston? Because honestly, that was why I went with Uncle John to go and see you. Uncle John and I, that's why we came to see you, was to get a unit, to get that initial funding that you put in when you became the government, but with us trying to motivate the community as a collective to match whatever the government did so that we could lobby the federal government and have, you know, a whole whack of money to really build in a unit. But I don't know, it's just stupid. I was dumb. I was dumb. That's what happened. I was dumb. I believed in the process and didn't realize that that's not how things work in the real world when it comes to politics. But he'll remember me. He told me, I ran into him one time at the SkyTrain while he was still in opposition, right, to the BC Liberal Party, that as soon as his government got elected and got into power, to come and see him, and we'd really discuss how we could push forward a universal school meal program, being that I was so adamant about it for all those years. But all these bad things just kept happening, people. And then eventually I went to go see him about Chimay. And he told me to hurry up and get everything. All our medical files, this, that, whatever I could get. And he'd take a look at it. But, no. That was a slow process. So, of course, it didn't happen. And then I felt by the time I did have at least some information and some proof of this and some proof of that, I felt it was too big for one man to handle on his own if he was serious about helping me. And that's why I filed the lawsuit against the government, to bring it to the greater attention of the Parliament buildings so that they could do something to stop it. But that's not what it's about, because if that was the case, my quality of living would be better, and I'd have more family members still alive to this day if it wasn't the way it is when it comes to the targeting of vulnerable families for the exploitation of yada 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 yada. So okay, so I'm gonna wait until 10:30 or so, 10:30, 11, and I will make sure I write down everything here in my book, and I will make an effort to pop in there if I can't talk to them and find out who. I'm pretty sure they said Emma. Maybe she's just taken over or a man, I don't know. Maybe that person took over the portfolio while Bruce is the minister for a government ministry. So he's busy off doing something else. And the MLA that's sitting in his office is the assistant to take complaints or to refer you to a number that will refer you to the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch. But that's not enough. You need more than that. You need more attention, and you can't depend on Acorn to do it. In terms of when I went to that meeting and I did that rally outside with them at City Hall when they were evicting those apartment buildings and all those people in those apartment buildings. And I told them what was, and then I went to the meeting where, you know, they were doing some provincial awareness, something, you know, wanted idea, whatever. And, you know, whoever I was, speaking with at that time, I asked them if it got real funky here, because of what was going on with the city, right? If they'd come as a group and rally outside my front yard to bring attention to what everything I've been talking about and how it happens, even though I'm sitting in a meeting where they're talking about it and how it happens to them, which is similar to what's happening to me. And I was basically told that because I'm not a paying member to Acorn, my monthly fees, they wouldn't come because they operate on a union basis. If you join the union, then yeah, the union will come out to support you. But if you don't support the union, don't expect the union to support you. As if I want another bill. I'm just saying. I can't even get a handle on what I got. So I can't rely on them to help. If I go to that community center options or whatever, I mean, I already discussed it, right? Like, to my options, right? In terms of, you know, at best, I don't think, and honestly, I don't think anyone would be sitting there helping you write this crap out. You got to write it out yourself. And once you bring it to them, I doubt they'll sit there and read the whole thing because people don't like to read these days. And they'll just refer you to, probably to the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch. But you know it's coming. You see, that's the thing. This bylaw officer that just recently came to the house and stirred the pot, they looked in the file. They already know. They're adding the ante up to build their case. I don't think it's just some random bylaw officer looking for garbage bags in a back driveway by the garage and wood, saying get rid of everything. Well, I'm pleading with my landlord to be able to use my garage because at least it's a little bit of shelter. Like, what's the point of paying for a house if you can't use it? If you can't use the garage, it's bad enough I have to go out there and fix the porch and do whatever and whatever and whatever, and okay, I'm not gonna. So I mean, I'm afraid. So, my instincts, my gut, my spidey senses tells me I have to bring awareness, at least awareness, to the higher up wigs. Okay? Where if it gets real ugly, people, I have someone to call. Preferably more than one person. I'd rather be heard by somebody within the Parliament buildings than to be heard by nobody. When I'm finally broken down to my knees and I just won't be able to get back up. So they don't leave me no choice. That's what I'm trying to say. Am I trying to convince myself of this? Yeah, because I'm exhausted. Am I afraid to do this? Hell no. Mr. Ralston, you know, he's a goofy kind of guy. Uncle John and I, we made him turn red in the face. Because, you know, we were talking about the universal school meal program. And I said, go get me my money. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you're the politician. Go get the money so that the communities, the school boards, and the school districts can have a little bit of money and they can start building on a universal school meal program. Here, I typed it all out. Here's my proposal with the foundation. Now go get me the money. Get the foundation the money, not me the money, but it was like a joke, right? And because I was so adamant about it, and he said, yeah, but you don't understand. It doesn't work like that. And I'm like, okay, well, so what can I do then? He goes, well, you need to go see Dave Hare. He's a a minister within whatever ministry within the BC Liberal government, that's the dude you need to see, and I'll support whatever it is that you're doing. And if he agrees to lobby the government, then yeah, we'll be able to, you know, get the universal, but you have to do it through a member that's already in government as a minister. So I went to go see Dave Hare. Told him to go get the money too. All he wanted me to do was go back home and write more information. Did that a couple times. And then, I don't know. I don't remember how it ended. I'd have to watch my videos. I don't know if he just bailed ship and just wasn't he stopped being an MLA. Or if he eventually said he couldn't do it or didn't want to do it. I'm not sure how he fell off the grid. I just know he fell off the grid. And he had me writing for like within a year, over a course of a year. I'd write, I'd go see him. We did it, write, go see him again. Okay. So I'm not afraid of politicians. I'm not. You know, I don't think my story is any more unworthy than everybody else's story. The difference between everybody else's story and my story is I've been fighting the good fight from a community activist perspective since 2000. Which makes me a little more saucy and sassy. And that's when my kids say, well, people can't talk to you because, you know, you're sassy, you're saucy, you're like da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, well, you raise 5 kids, see what that gets you, on top of be a community activist or fighting corrupt landlords or whatever over a course of a lifetime, and see how you talk, right? You know, so I'm going to have to contact, I think, more than one minister or more than one MLA. Maybe I should be working on a generic letter as I pick up on my survey, because it's, you know, I've been thinking about that too, right? But I have to spend money and buy ink, and I don't want to spend money on ink and print out paper right now. I'm just not up for it. As if. And if you type it out and you send it through an email, I don't know. I mean, maybe I could do that. At least get them to acknowledge it, that they received it, and then you have some kind of paper trail to say that at least you tried, right? And there may be awareness on the other end of that receiving email in terms of the actual MLA themselves taking the time to read it, to familiarize themselves with it. But they don't normally get involved with individual cases. No. So, again, I don't know what good it would do. I just feel like I need to do it. So it's 1:01 now. I'm sorry, 10 o'clock 01. 1 minute after 10. So I'll be back. Okay, so as I was sitting here thinking, I remembered, I don't think, actually, honestly, that miscellaneous pile of stuff that was up by the broken fence and the compost that was piled up. Anyway, I don't think my son did that. That was Andre, Jude, and Tayden, who went into the hen house area because they wanted their quote-unquote fort, and they wanted to take over the whole area. So they started bringing everything out. And then Andre came and told me about it. And I said, no, you get Mr. Lace's cat house for the fort. But the boys are complaining, they're saying it's too small. I said, yeah, well, they don't have a choice in the matter. That's what you get. That, what we use is to keep things, sheltered and out of the elements and whatever, right? So you need to put everything back. Honestly, I don't think he did it, people. I told him several times to do it. He doesn't always respond to me. So I think that shit's been sitting out there like that for a while. And the boys did that. And of course, because the boys, his friends, didn't get what they wanted, they didn't help him to put everything back. So that's what I'm going to do very soon, is go out in the back, and I'm going to try and rescue what few things I have left. Because I do plan on going outside with Andre and Amari, either working on the sheds, working on Mr. Lace's cat house so Andre can have his fort, obviously repairing and working on the X Club and trying to stop the leaks on the porch of the roof and whatever. I'll do the best that I can. And the greenhouse. That, that's what I'm going to be doing at some point. Soon. And I need that stuff, some of it. And if I don't need it for that, I need it for other things. Like if we use the greenhouse and we need shade, those things that those boys put out, that my son would just grab and throw out because of what the city is doing, they'd be gone and we wouldn't have them no more. And, I still might be able to see next year. And maybe I will use the greenhouse. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to try this number one more time. If it allows me to leave a message, I'll leave a message. And then I'm just going to write the phone number and the address in my book. And I'll figure out who's who you can maybe meet and sit down and actually talk with. All right. Yeah. And just, I don't know. I don't know. What is this? Oh my God, now it's saying that I might have gone to a... Oh my God, stop. What is this? Online says Cannon Procket. Oh, I got hijacked, people. This is great. Oh my Lord. This took over my computer. Wait, here we go. Oh, Lord. Something hijacked my computer. I don't know. Hi, how are you?
How are you?
I'm good. This is not Mr. Ralston's constituency office?
No, he retired, so it's on the Shaw's office now.
He retired.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right, well, just hold on a minute, please. Let me just gather myself, okay? All right, so you're still located up there in the little strip mall where Lucky's is? Okay, so you still have the same office. And what's the name of the new MLA? How do you spell that? Okay, hold on. A-M-N-A. Oh, man or woman? Woman. Okay. Is she just a members of like assembly, or is she a minister to the portfolio that Bruce had? Okay. Well, obviously you know that there's a housing issue crisis going on in the city of Surrey. So I don't know. I just feel that my story is unique. Bruce, Mr. Ralston would know me. So I'm disappointed that he's not working anymore, but that's okay. It's a tough job, right? And I just feel like I need to do some outreach with some MLAs. I don't know what to expect from it. So is it possible to meet this woman in person at some point, like at an appointment time, or how do you guys operate? Yeah, no, I don't want a meeting yet. I'm just exploring my options. But yeah, ask me your questions. Okay, well, my situation is tenant harassment, which is not unique. Okay, I'm sure you've heard that terminology, right? Right, okay. So it's leading up to something, right? And I just don't want to be blindsided with no voice in the wind, right? You know, so I just feel like my instincts are telling me that I need to touch base with MLAs. I've been a community activist since 2000. Not a very successful one, but, you know, I'm well aware of the problems within the city of Surrey as well as the province, country, blah, blah, blah. And so if I sound curt, that's only because I have a long history of fighting the good fight, okay? All right? So, but when it comes to me personally, I feel like I'm in a very vulnerable position where it's easy for the city of Surrey, landlords, and any other interest groups to target my family so that, you know, eviction can happen, so that, you know, the landlord can get more money in rent and immigrants get housed, yada yada yada. It's a bigger issue than just me. So that's what I would be coming to the office in terms of, like, I know that would require some form of writing to leave behind in a letter form. To what degree and how much, I don't know. I mean, I can attempt to make a letter before I come. I think that would be, I'm just, right, because I don't need to go to the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch anytime soon. Options is not an option for me because there's nothing they can do for me at this point. What we need to do, well, what I need to do is bring awareness to the, you know, to the people of authority around me that if I fall with my grandkids after 14 years of living in this house, doing everything I've done, then, yeah, I'm going down swinging. I'm going down swinging. I'll tell as many people as I can, right? You know what I'm saying? Right? Because, like, I live in fear. And as a tenant that's been in a house 14 years, that's unreasonable. That's unreasonable because of the value of the house property in terms of if they, at this point, I'm paying $22.50 for two floors, 6-bedroom, old bungalow. Okay, it's just off of Ravine. It's not very far. That's slated to be tore down for buildings that nobody can afford. All right, but in the meantime, if the city and the landlord are successful in evicting me through tenant harassment strategies, correct? Then what happens is it frees up where now the house can be broken up into several suites where they can make up to $5,500 or more per month in rent compared to the $22.50. That's what I'm coming with is as a documented example as to what's going on in the community that's decimating families from house to house to house to house. And I just happen to be one of those houses who has a voice. And I think my voice needs to be brought to people of more influence, and that's why I'm reaching out to Mr. Ralston, and now Amna. You're right. Okay. So what she could do for me, how she could do it, I don't know. I would suspect I'd probably have to meet more than one minister and just roll with it, because I feel that it's just a matter of time before it's going to get ugly. Because it doesn't stop with the harassment with the city, and they use the yard as the excuse to build a case. No, I haven't, but I get insinuendos over the years that because of this within the yard, that's grounds for my landlord to evict me, which is not true. In terms of there's a level of responsibility for the tenant to do yard maintenance, right? I discovered that just recently by contacting the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch. But then, when it gets into the extreme, which I've been doing all these years, that's where it becomes, gray. So it's not that easy for my landlord to say you haven't done anything. But then on the other hand, because the city comes in with their ambiguous accusations of, well, you got wood. Well, yeah, that's because I'm building a shed. Yeah, that's because I'm building a greenhouse. Well, you got cement blocks. Well, yeah, that's because I'm having to lay down a walkway that was nothing but sand and gravel rocks, raccoon poo, because half my yard was sand, and that's how it was when I moved in. And would you want to live with a half a yard full of sand? No. You'd find a way to cover it up. Anyway, it's a long story with a long history where a few pictures is enough to geek everybody up to say you're not doing a very good job, even though you built like 4 sheds on the property, a greenhouse, laid in 2 walkways, built in garden beds, basically gave up your life, pulled weeds, solved drainage problems. This is stuff that normal tenants don't do. My circumstances were different. It was a do or die situation, so I had no choice. Right? Are you there? Yeah. So the politics around that, though, hasn't changed. In other words, these city workers are out of control. They look and use any little thing that they can find to do a citation, to make a threat on the landlord for a fine, as well as to have their fellas come in and start removing property from your property so that they can... And then, yeah, you get a city worker telling the landlord to get rid of me because I had stuff in the yard or whatever. Anything I had in the yard, I built, like I said, several greenhouses, like one greenhouse I built, sheds, laid down walkways, garden beds. I gave up my life for this house and this yard and for my landlord. And they just they need the housing for the immigrants. I need the legislation where it's showing that the city is getting money to house immigrants as they're coming in from the federal government. Where does the allotment come from? Obviously somebody is paying from the federal government, the city, to house immigrants, but the province must be paying too, because the workers that are trying to harass tenants to get evicted for whatever reason, and in this case it would be the yard, because it's never good. Right now it's too green. My yard is too green. My son had 5 bags of black garbage bags up by the back to take with recycled bottles or something like that. City drove by, seen that in the alley there, looking, and took pictures and sent them to my landlord and said, oh, you got... And then my landlord shows up 4 days later tells me I got Wednesday. She came yesterday, told me I got Wednesday to do whatever they want me to do. And I said, well, what is it? What now? Because they came in here in the middle of January and they wiped out my yard. They stole like $8,000 worth of my belongings. They took everything. My wood to work with, to fix the sheds, my tools, my grandchildren's play toys, everything. They made my son start gutting out the garage, saying that we couldn't have nothing in the garage, so he went into the shed, gutted out the shed. All my non-profit stuff went into a big freaking bin. I got the city dude showing up at my house in the middle of winter, snow all over the place for 3 weeks, telling me when we're going to go outside and get rid of more stuff. Like, it was pathetic. Like, it's harassment. And now in June, my landlady showed up yesterday with 4 pictures saying that there's a pile of wood out there, which is basically her rotten fence because they wouldn't help me fix the fence. So, you know, all the boards are falling down and everything else that I needed to fix the fence was thrown out in January. And the boards are piling up as the weeds are growing because I have a real problem with morning glory on this property. And I told my son, the more you bust up these things, the compost boxes, all this stuff, you're just making a path for the morning glory to go nuts and like grow. It's a weed, right? And sure enough, they're complaining about that. And 5 bags of something tied up by the garage. And because it was sitting out there by themselves, which was more than likely pop bottles in a bag that my son was going to take to the recycle bin, and he just gathered them up and put them there. The city took that as a picture, as an excuse to say that we're going to come in and charge you $200 fine. And, what do you call it? And then if you don't get rid of whatever it is that they want you to get rid of, even though they're not being specific about it, they're going to come in with their trucks. I'm paying $1,900. I don't even get a receipt for a bin that was dropped off of my house in January because some city dude showed up out of nowhere and started saying, get rid of everything in the yard. Everything. All my planter pots, all my working wood. Even though it was weather worn, it had to go. My pipes that I needed to lay if I needed to do drainage problems because my landlord doesn't solve drainage, nothing. Everything. Okay? My tools, my sprinklers, my hoses, all of it gone in a bin. And then they're charging me $1,900, and then they're charging me $1,900 to pay for it as they come back and tell me it was frozen water or water because it was raining or it was frozen when they hauled it off. And 10996 Ravine Road. And I've been doing YouTube videos for years, so I'm now going into my old videos to show a pattern of gang stalking, and I guess you can call it tenant harassment, and how the city had me working out in the yard for 1 year straight in 2015. I was working 5 to 7 days a week for 10 to 12 hours a day. Okay? I have it documented, so I'm going through my videos. I'm listing everything little by little. And then, yeah, they do it every couple, 2-3 years. This has been going on since 2015. So they did it in 2015. They did it again in 2017. And all it does is make me work harder in the yard. And then they did it again in 2020. And then they did it again in 2023. And now we're in 2025. Well, my landlady's son is screaming at me that it's good business to kick me out because I don't pay enough rent. And that I'm a lousy tenant because I don't do shit, and blah, 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 blah. And they brought in the bin. They made me throw out everything in the yard. They want me to gut out the garage. They want me to pay for this. My grandson went out and mowed the grass for 2 days because the city was complaining about the grass, even though we didn't know until Sunday, but he had already mowed it. And then on Saturday, as he was mowing it, the freaking weed whacker caught on fire. She doesn't even want to buy him a proper freaking weed whacker. She expects me to pay for it as I'm paying for other stuff that was thrown out. Like, it's nonsense. Okay, well, that is in one of my files somewhere, and it's back from 2009. I do have one, but I don't know where it's located, though. That's the problem. I've already talked to them, and the issue hasn't gotten to that level yet. Okay? I'm not evicted. Well, is that what used to be called options, right? Now they call it sources.
No, I don't believe, I don't know if it was ever called sources, but
No, options. Right, but I'm not trying to take my landlord to court here. I'm trying to bring a... There is no dispute resolution, though, right now. What am I disputing? I want my money back for throwing out my stuff? This is beyond, like, right? I can't stop these people from... Yeah, but all that will do is just make it so that people will get more mad and retaliate and target more against me. And this is why it needs to go to an MLAs, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, however many ever, and it should be documented that this is what people are having to face. I'm a 63-year-old woman who's legally blind. I have a disabled grandson on me, hands I raise, with severe cerebral palsy, can't walk, talk, none of this stuff. I've got another grandson who's 14, and I've been in this house 14 years. I told you I built all these amenities onto the property, but because of the corruption within the housing market, which the government encourages by speeding up the process for these corporations that are property developers to build more buildings, all that does is it makes houses like mine more targets to maximize on the dollar amount in terms of the amount of rent that landlords can get while the house is available. So if you get rid of the old tenant, you get to increase your money by double, almost triple, by just kicking out the old tenant and then breaking up the house into separate suites, right? Doesn't matter who's...
No, there are rules, like they can't just do that, and if you suspect that they do that, you can take them to the RTB and you can get up to a year's worth.
Right, but my house will be decimated. I'll lose everything. I've already lost everything in the yard. I'm not well. I have no money. I'm on income assistance, disability at that, without the full disability benefits, right? I'm working on it. I've done it in the past, but, you know, things get denied. But yeah, I'm moving in that direction. But if there's no affordable housing, and this is what I'm facing, ma'am, and I told you 20 years, right? 25 years I've been in community. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, right? But if I'm facing homelessness, which I'm not alone, my neighbor is 75 over here in a different house, been living in her house for 25 years, and she's facing homelessness because she's being evicted because they're tearing down those houses. This is an MLA issue. This is beyond the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch.
Yeah, the government is working on getting affordable housing out there. We are building more units. It's just taking some time.
Yeah, but that's not the solution for me. Okay? That's not the solution. The ask for me can come down at any moment. So therefore the fever...
What the MLA to do in particular with your situation?
I think since, and I'm very grateful that you're talking with me. I do appreciate it very much, okay? I think what I need to do is, I mean, obviously I could write 1,000,000 words and it wouldn't get me anywhere. I've already done that, right? So maybe if I wrote 2 or 3 pages in a nutshell, as best as I can, okay? From beginning to end, and from how I moved in, what the state was, right? Versus having 100 pages going through my YouTube videos, typing out blah, 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 what happened, what was going on at that time. I'll just put it in a nutshell with 2 or 3 pages, maybe 4 at best, to highlight, I don't want to say corruption, but basically that's what it is. But I'll try and use a different word because that puts people on the defense, right? But I'll highlight concerns that tenants or the reality of what tenants are facing with no breaks, with the creativity that landlords in the cities have in evicting tenants to free up houses for whatever kickbacks result from that in terms of the individuals involved, because everybody's got a stake except the tenant, because the tenant is the one where their house falls apart and go bankrupt, become homeless, lose their kids, lose their grandkids, lose their health, and some die. And that's the reality, and that's the harshness. That's nothing that the Landlords and Tenancy Act branch can fix. That's nothing that the Source community group can fix. This is something that needs to be discussed within the debates, within the Parliament building themselves.
Well, yeah, it is an awkward issue that's consistently discussed in the legislature, and over the last 4 years, they have come out with more precautions for tenants and more safety guards for them so they don't face these issues. If you'd like me to provide that information for you, I can.
Well, that would be a start. That would be a start. I mean, that's what I'm asking for. But, you know, I also want to meet with this person, you know. I won't ask to invest into a universal school meal program as a community activist like I did with Mr. Ralston when I met Mr. Ralston, right? But I think I have a right to sit down and meet this person, let them meet my grandkids, let them meet me, and, you know, be aware that whatever is going on in this province is affecting real people, like real people. And this is not a joke, but the people that I'm dealing with, they enjoy, and many of them enjoy what they do because it gives them a sense of authority. And some, I suppose, are sadistic or something like that. And they chomping at the bit because it's just a matter of time before the money starts rolling in once they get rid of me. Otherwise, I'd be treated better. Okay? And yeah, I need to look at the person in the face before I hand over my paperwork and say, think about it. And there's got to be another way to get that message out there.
You do this in 2 ways. Either, like, I guess you can write your concerns out and mail it to us, and we can have the MLA review that, so when you come, everyone's up to page and we can discuss your concerns. Or you can bring your written work to the meeting and discuss all of it there.
Well, I would say the second option, because then, like you said, you all got the heads up. Right? Because, you know, like, can I just, before you go on, I know, right, that you're busy. But when I used to approach Mr. Ralston, right, for, you know, the nonprofit, and then I had some personal matters with my daughter who was murdered in my house. Okay. What was I going to say? I don't remember now, ma'am. I'm so frustrated with it. Oh yes, Mr. Ralston was in, I remember now, Mr. Ralston was in opposition to the BC Liberal government, okay? So, you know, he was powerless in many ways because of that fact. I mean, you know the politics back in those days, it was rough, right? So when he said, last time I talked to him, or a few times after I talked to him, you know, he said that when his government got into power, that's when he would really hunker down to help to bring in the universal school meal program with me, with the foundation that I was working on, because he believed in it, okay? This time around, approaching this MLA, her government is already in power. Because I'm an old school community activist that came in with old school freaking politicians that had me doing this, jumping through this hoop, jumping through that hoop. So, you know, my perspective on how things operate are probably different than what they operate on today. That's all I'm saying, right? So you know, that's why I want to meet her, but I'm realizing that I'm meeting her on a different footing where she's actually in power within the government. So I would think that would be, I don't want to say put a spin on it, what I'm hoping to accomplish here in terms of bringing more awareness, where more MLAs and ministers are taking an interest to put this, whatever's going on in the economy that is affecting, you know, everybody really in one way or another, on the back burner, so that, you know, we don't lose our lives, because that's what's happening here, and I don't want to be another statistic, and I don't want my grandkids to be a statistic. for certain interest groups to get wealthy and not be held to account. So this is why it's important that I meet her, so that she knows that I kind of know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. You don't have to worry about this right now because I have to type it out. Honestly, I am so overwhelmed, overworked. I have to work outside. I'm not well because of the yard. And, you know, I got robbed inside my house, so I'm having to sort out things here, and my grandson's disabled, yada, yada, yada. I'm legally blind. I struggle with eyesight, okay? And I'm not well. I'm like, you can hear it in my voice. I'm tired, okay? So I don't know how long it's going to take. I think what I'd like to do is do the rough draft of what I got to say. We agree that's the best that I do, right? 3 to 4 pages, you think would be reasonable? Okay. Okay, so let me write this down. I have to just pace myself through this, okay? Because I want to do a good job. All right? And you're going to send me something in... Yeah, let me do that. It might take me a week, it might take me a month, or it might even take me 2 months, right? But the point is that it's going to get done, right? Yes, and I should probably get your name. Just hold on. You're the receptionist? Oh, okay, constituency. Advisor. Just let me write this down and then I'll put it in my book later. And how do you spell your name? M or N? N? Okay. Uh-huh. N-A-V O-E-E-N. Okay. Now, Judy Chorney. Yeah, Judy Chorney. So, okay, so when I call back, I'll ask for you. And then you'll remember, right, that we spoke. Okay. And then I know I need to write 3 to 4 pages. That should be plenty, right? And then you said you were going to email me something just for general information at this point? Well, yeah, because it gives me time to do a little bit of research on them and see how they fit into my problem. And if I feel at any point in the future that it could be helpful for me. And I could even follow up and phone them and ask them to just reiterate what it is that they do and how they provide certain things if I need the service. Yeah. Yeah, Chorney. Oh, you're not going to send me something in the email? Oh, okay, so you can just call me if you want. Yeah. Oh, that would be great. That would be really great. I'd really appreciate that. And if you can... Yes, please. Yeah, it's NU Nations Unity, all one word, with an S, Nations. NUNATIONS, Unity, UNITY, at gmail.com. Maybe you can read that back to me, please? I know you got it right, but... N as Nancy. And yeah, New Nations Unity. And the legislation or whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's legislation or just a payment, but I would think legislation would have to be connected to it, right? Where the cities are receiving money from the province as a transfer payment to house immigrants and what the incentives are. I need to know where that specific mandate, legislation, statute, I don't know what it's called, is, and what's the dollar amount within the budget that's being distributed between the cities for that sole purpose. Because that's the incentive for the cities to treat families like mine the way they have been. And they're getting scary. Okay? Yeah. So I really appreciate your effort. And if you can find anything on a federal level where it feeds into that, because I'm sure there's federal dollars going to the cities for the same process, right? Then that would be good to know too.
Immigration program just last year and earlier this year, but I can look into how that.
If you, yeah, you could.
Actually, you can reach out to your MP as well.
Oh, maybe I should do that. Okay, let me write this down. There we go. Never did that before. Would you happen to know who that would be? Ran, Randee. Okay. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. 589 2441. And this is a man? And his last name, please? Sarai. Okay. Well, I will definitely phone him at some point soon after I start working on this letter, because I would think that same letter would be forwarded, right? You're provincial. You're strictly provincial. They're strictly federal. But you both are big wigs with voice and have authority. So that's right. Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate your consoling me a little bit here. Okay. All right. Have a good day. Bye. Andre. Please wake up now. Okay, so you heard it. I don't know what else to do right now. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on try and do a 3 to 4 page synopsis. I think that's what they call it. I might be using that word wrong. I don't know. I'll look up the word synopsis. I don't even know how to spell the word synopsis. And I'll see if I can find a companion word for it that maybe speaks more clear for itself. Right? Because, I don't know, people. So now, Andre needs to get up, make me a coffee. Let's get on with the day. I'm going outside. I'm pretty sure that's the mess you, Jude, and freaking Taden all spilled out, and you never put anything back, and I can't afford to lose it because that's all I have. Not going to blame Uncle Marcaine for that. And we're going to need that when we go outside and do shed repairs, work on, you know, Mr. Lacey's cat house as we make it look nice for your little fort. And I might need something like, you know, in the greenhouse, whatever, and it is what it is. Okay, so that's... There you go, people.